Holy crap, guys. Okay, so this is going to be completely off the cuff. I don't have anything written. I just wanted to talk into my microphone after this Nintendo E3 press conference was over. Or sorry, after this Direct was over. And, there was a lot to like overall. But as a Zelda fan, holy crap, we really lucked out. Okay, so obviously there were three things that we care about as Legend of Zelda fans. The least of which, even though I'm still personally very excited for it, is definitely Cadence of Hyrule, which, holy crap, is coming out in 2 days. That's really awesome. Next up we have Link's Awakening. We got to see a little bit more footage of it, and it looks still really good. We found out that the release date is actually pretty soon. And then, out of absolute nowhere, right at the end, we get the Breath of the Wild sequel. Like, what? So, just because I literally, if I was a smart man, and if I cared more about, keeping people hooked to the end of the video or whatever, I would put Breath of the Wild at the end, but I just, I can't help myself. I just want to talk about it, so that's what I'm going to talk about first. Holy crap, where did that come from? There was no, at least I didn't see there be any leaks. This came as a complete surprise. How often does that happen these days? When it first started showing, I kind of got a little bit of a Zelda vibe from the music and the cell shade, but I kind of just played it off. I was like, oh, well, Nintendo's probably getting a new RPG. Maybe this is going to be the new Xenoblade or something like that. But then the weird thing is I was watching it on a stream where the quality was kind of bad. So even when we saw the two blonde-headed people walking, I still didn't 100% clue in. I started to get a little bit curious, but I didn't 100% clue in, because to me that still could have meant anything because it was pretty grainy. But then you finally saw their faces and I was just hand to my face. I couldn't even compose myself. I was watching the conference all alone on my couch and I was just freaking out. I felt like a very silly person. I probably looked ridiculous. My dog was probably laughing at me. But and then it shows what I'm assuming is Ganon's skeleton, right? There's no way that's not Ganon's skeleton. It looks like his theme was playing for one. There's the red hair. There's the symbol of the Gerudo. 100% that's Ganon's skeleton. I think we're probably all in agreement over that, right? So that's crazy. By the look of things, when it shows the castle starting to, I'm not sure if it's sinking or going higher, but when it shows the castle moving, you can still see ruins outside. So I think that basically confirms that it is taking place after Breath of the Wild, which is perfectly fine for me. I think that's actually really exciting. I can't wait to see what all my homies are up to. I can't wait to see what Sidon's up to. I don't even know how to process what just happened. It was just the best. I was so thrilled. I think that this is a really good chance for Nintendo to put out a Zelda game that could come very close to being the perfect Zelda game. Because the thing about Breath of the Wild is, while it certainly did have haters, even the haters are generally in acknowledgement that something about the game is good. Almost everybody has been able to find something they like in Breath of the Wild. So with the sequel, now that they have the engine built out, they can really focus on adding in that extra stuff that people were upset they didn't have. So, they have their core gameplay in place. Now they can work on having properly fleshed out temples for the people who really felt burnt by that. Now they can work on having an actual proper story for the people who felt burnt out like that. They can work on making combat a little thicker. Everything that people thought was bad about Breath of the Wild, they now have a chance to fix because they don't have to build a game engine from the ground up. So I think that is really exciting, and it is very encouraging to think that we're going to get a Breath of the Wild masterworks, if that makes sense. A Breath of the Wild that has a couple years to do nothing but hone its craft. I don't know. I am incredibly excited. I could talk about my feelings for this for ages, and maybe I will at some point. But in the hopes of keeping this video a reasonable length of time, I will probably stop talking about that now and move on to the second most exciting thing, Link's Awakening. So Link's Awakening was pretty awesome too. one of the biggest complaints that people had with the previous trailer is that they felt that Link's sort of facial expressions would kind of be non-existent, but they definitely showed that that's not true. I love that scene of him getting out of bed with that exasperated face. I absolutely love what I see. I think the trailer was very artsy and I loved it. And the thing that's sort of striking me the most is how good the music is. And that makes sense. Link's Awakening had some really awesome music in it to begin with, but I think they're really doing it justice in this remake from what I've heard so far. I loved the scene with the fishing mini game. I thought that was really great. The dungeon creator seems really interesting. I kind of wish that they would have fleshed it out a little bit more, where maybe you find parts of dungeons throughout the game, like maybe you find a trap and you can pick where to put that trap instead of just dungeon rooms. But the fact that there's even a small version of a dungeon creator is really, really cool. I think that kind of stuff is really encouraging that Nintendo seems to be moving in this direction of having them put all the tools for creation in your hand with Mario Maker and now with this. And yeah, I just am really thrilled with what I'm seeing for Link's Awakening. And then the fairly close release date came out of nowhere too. September is not that far off. And that's really, really thrilling for me. So we'll obviously talk about it in a second here, but Cadence of Hyrule is coming out, and that's going to keep me entertained probably for a few months. And in a few months, guess what comes out? Link's Awakening. And who knows how long I'm the kind of guy that loves to replay Zelda games over and over again. So who knows how long that's going to keep me entertained for. I'm guessing Breath of the Wild 2, is probably going to not be coming out anytime soon. But Link's Awakening could still keep me busy for a majority of the time. I don't know. I just really love it. The items look great. The graphics look great. The moblins are adorable. It just looks really fantastic. And I wish they would have shown if all we're getting that is brand new is the dungeon creator. I think that's a tiny bit disappointing. I hope we get like a new dungeon or something like that, like they've done with the past re-releases of the Zelda games. Or maybe some sort of online feature. I'm not looking for like co-op or anything like that. I'm just looking for, I don't know, some sort of online feature. Well, maybe the dungeon creator will be online. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just looking for something new, some sort of new addition to it. You know what would actually be really interesting is if they took the figure system from Wind Waker and brought it over to Link's Awakening. I think it would be really thematically appropriate with the game too. Yeah, I think that would be really cool. Or if they fleshed out the pictograph, I can't remember if they were called pictographs at this point, but the pictures you could collect in the original game, maybe DX, I can't quite remember, but those pictures, if they really fleshed that out, that would be really cool. Yeah, I do hope we get a little bit more new other than just the dungeon creator, or it's not priced as a fully, in Canada, we pay about $85 for our games. So if they don't want to add anything new, I hope it's not priced at $85. But other than that, I'm super thrilled with what we've seen so far. And that brings us to Cadence of Hyrule. Holy crap, Cadence of Hyrule is coming out in 2 days. That's so thrilling. I know that not everybody's been excited for this game because the idea of, the rhythm movement being forced on you might seem kind of off-putting, but I do really suggest you give this game a try. I absolutely loved Crypt of the Necrodancer. I've been playing it pretty frequently since this game got released to sort of get in the spirit of it, and I am so ready for this game in 2 days. It was interesting that they didn't really show anything new about the game, but then again, it is just pretty much an indie game. I'm interested to see if Cadence, Link, and Zelda are actually the only new characters, or if they're, kind of trying to keep some as a secret. But regardless, I'm always a big fan of you being able to play as Zelda. Her fighting style looks really fun, and her animations are adorable. The music is still crazy good, which is absolutely not a big surprise. If you ever look at the download size for like the Crypt of the Necrodancer game, it's like pretty large for an indie game, and that's almost completely because of the music. And I think that's one of the things I'm most excited for about this game, is having a really good new Legend of Zelda soundtrack of some form to jam out to. Because as much as I love Breath Breath of the Wild, and as much as I love its, sort of take on music, its approach to its understated music, it's not exactly the easiest thing to, for example, study to, or to have in the background when you're playing like grinding in a video game, because there's just long moments with not much going on, and it's just not very stimulating, I guess is the word for it. Beautiful music, but I am really excited for Cadence of Hyrule to come out and inject some much needed energy into the Legend of Zelda soundscape. Yeah, there's not really much else to say about Cadence of Hyrule. It looks really, really good. I'm super excited for it. It's coming out in 2 days. That's crazy. Yeah, that's it. So what a crazy, fantastic E3 for us Legend of Zelda fans. I mean, all the other stuff that Nintendo showed looked really good too. Banjo-Kazooie was awesome. I'm a big fan of Banjo-Kazooie, so seeing him come to Smash, it was a really exciting thing for me. I hope now that Microsoft is sort of, with them putting the Game Pass on the PC and with them being rumored to put it on the Switch, I wonder if that means they'll be more open with sharing their IP, and maybe that means we could get like a proper Banjo-Kazooie game on the Switch one day. I don't know who would make it, because Rare's kind of, fallen out of grace in the last decade, but it would be super great. I'm a huge Animal Crossing fan. If you're one of my 8 Twitter followers, you probably saw me spamming out things before and after, because I'm just a huge Animal Crossing guy, and I'm really excited for the new one. I do hope that you're not permanently stuck with a tent. That seems kind of weird. I hope you can upgrade to a proper house, but other than that, it looks fantastic. What's the mech game called? Daemon X Machina. Yeah, I played the demo for it and I fell in love with it. I'm a huge fan of mechs, so I'm really excited. Astral Chain seems really interesting. Big fan of Platinum, so I'm definitely all in on that. And the new Pokemon looks fantastic. Obviously, that wasn't really part of E3, that was a week ago, but I'm convinced that the only reason they put Pokemon back then is so they didn't have it clashing with Zelda. Like, obviously, if they revealed Pokemon today instead of last week, it would have been like, I'm not really a guy who's into a certain company winning E3. I always think that's a little silly, especially because a lot of the times the companies that win E3, half the things they show don't even come out. But if I was that kind of guy, and if they showed Pokemon and Zelda and Animal Crossing, I would definitely say that Nintendo won E3, but I think they probably put Pokemon last week because they didn't want to crowd it in with all these other new games. They wanted to give it a little bit of its own breathing room, and I didn't stick around too long for the Nintendo Treehouse stuff, but it did look interesting. Also, I'm hugely excited for No More Heroes 3. I am such a huge Travis Touchdown fan. I've loved the No More Hero games for as long as I can remember. I love Suda51. Wonderful. Just great. Yeah, I can't really think of anything else off the top of my head. A bunch of ports, which is a very Nintendo thing to do, so that's not shocking. Anyways, so this video's probably longer than it needs to be. Anyone who made it through the entire thing, thank you. I appreciate you listening to my rambly voice. Let me know how excited you are for all these amazing Zelda announcements. What do you think about Breath of the Wild? Like, I think that's so exciting. Are you excited? What about Link's Awakening? What about Cadence of Hyrule? What about just E3 in general? What were you excited for? Drop me a comment, let me know. If you want to give me a subscribe, it wouldn't hurt. And yeah, thanks a ton for giving this a listen, and I hope that the rest of your week is splendid. And bye, Cadence of Hyrule.